Yeah. Yeah, yeah. All right, no worries. It's a hold. We're good. Yeah. Let me grab. Okay, thank you. Just your name.
I will matter seeing her first today.
Weston Hawkins, Judge.
Now calling the matter of the people versus Western's Warren Hawkins. This is case number 25056550001. Count 1, assault with intention to murder. Count 2, assault with intent to bring bodily harm, less than murder or by strangulation. Count 3, assault with a dangerous weapon, felonious assault. Count 4, weapons, firearm, discharge in or out of building. Count 5, weapons, firearm, discharge from a vehicle. Count 6, weapons, carrying, concealed. Count 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, weapons, felony, firearm. This is the date and time set for a preliminary examination in this matter. Appearances for the record, starting with counsel for the people.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Dylan Kirk, PA 4014 on behalf of the people.
Good afternoon, Judge. Neighborhood Defender Service by Jackie Polkowitz, PA 1653 on behalf of Mr. Hawkins, who stands to my right. Mr. Hawkins, will you state your name for the judge, please?
Weston Warren Hawkins, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. All right, this is the date and time set for a preliminary exam. Are people ready to proceed?
Ready, Your Honor.
All right, counsel ready to proceed?
Just one preliminary matter for the court, Judge.
Absolutely.
Your Honor, there was green light footage in this case, and I actually believe it's a pretty critical piece of evidence that's in people's support to link my client to the allegations in this matter. It's come to my attention, according to the officer in charge, that the green light footage no longer exists, that he tried to save it to an external hard drive, and when he went back to look at his hard drive, the file had been corrupted. So of no fault, at least of our own, it's our understanding that the green light footage no longer exists. With that, Your Honor, I would ask again, because this is a pretty critical piece of evidence linking my client to the allegations, I would ask that the court dismiss this case for failure to provide and preserve this digital evidence.
Fine.
Your Honor, I have also talked to the OIC about this issue. He did also tell me that this was a issue of the file getting corrupted. He also did say that this is part of a series of investigations leading to the defendant, as well as the fact that he was able to retain stills of these green light footage, and those stills have been turned over to defense. However, it is true absolutely that the original green light footage is corrupted. We talked in the hallway a little bit, both defense and myself, with the OIC about him trying to get this green light footage from the source, simply re-download it, whatever he would have to do. However, he attempted that, but was told that that footage had already been sort of plastered over.
Your Honor, if I just may briefly respond, if the court is not inclined to grant the motion to dismiss, I would ask, assuming we proceed with the exam, for a little bit of leeway and cross-examination to go into the details and circumstances concerning the video and its downloading.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Judge.
I would say, all right, it sounds like someone will be able to testify to the investigation of this.
Your Honor, my plan would be to have the OIC testify, which would give us an opportunity to cross-examine.
Okay. All right, there can be some testimony to establish it. What I'll do is I'll rule right now that we'll move forward, so I'm gonna deny the motion to dismiss it. However, it can be renewed if I believe, or if you believe at that point in time it's necessary based on the evidence not coming forward to renew your motion at that point in time. It sounds like there was some additional investigation, so I'll wait and hear and see. I do understand that video footage can get lost, but you gotta have somebody to testify to something, so if they can't.
Understood, Your Honor.
All right,
And just one more issue as it also relates to footage. The people have also tendered an interrogation video of my client, which was conducted, I believe, inside a squad car. That video, I wouldn't call it corrupt, but is fuzzy and doesn't show anything visually on the video. It's also very difficult to hear the actual interrogation. It's my understanding there were 2 or 3 officers in the vehicle at the time, none of which had body cam on, and they were relying on the rear dash camera footage, which unfortunately is far from clear. So again, putting that on the record as well. So there are 2 issues with perhaps the most critical evidence linking my client to these allegations for which we have evidentiary issues.
there is some video footage though that you do have.
That's correct, Judge.
Your Honor, I can expound a little bit. This video footage, I believe in the car is the officer in charge who, like I said, will be testifying today. He can testify to the events surrounding that footage and his own understanding of what occurs as he is there. He's in the footage speaking. The footage, as defense says, is blocked mostly by what appears to me to be one of those sun blockers for a car. However, there is audio captured. We don't have, if these cases were ideal, Your Honor, I'd make them ideal, but unfortunately, this is what we have.
There has been something turned over, it's just not the clearest audio, and it's also something blocking it, but you do have in your possession a copy of it.
That's correct, Judge.
All right, thank you for putting that on the record.
Yes, Judge.
You have a copy of it, and you can at least hear it.
And otherwise, we would just move for an order of mutual sequestration at this time. Yeah, I see, I know my client's father is in the courtroom. I don't plan on calling him as a witness. Well, you know what?
When called as a witness, he needs to step
I'm
out.
gonna have you just step out, just because I know you were there at the time of the arrest, right? I'm gonna have you step
Step outside. Am I gonna be coming back in or?
out.
Okay, one.
That my officer in charge.
All right,
Thanks, Judge.
thank you. At this time, the court's going to order a mutual order of sequestration. Anyone who wants to testify must now leave the court or will be barred from doing so in the future, with the exception of the officer in charge. You may call your first witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. People would be calling, let me make sure I get this name right. Kiara Curtis.
What's the name? I'm sorry.
Kiara Curtis. She should be just down the hall.
Talk to her. No, she's here.
I'm gonna ask that you not, okay, just, oh, you're not part of this case? Okay, okay. I apologize.
All right, ma'am, if you please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, go ahead, and pull that door towards you and have a seat in the chair. On this right here, ma'am. Can you talk to it for me, adjust it accordingly? Level up. All right, fine, keep your voice up as you speak, okay?
You're gonna have to say yes or no, okay?
Oh, yes. All right. Counsel, you may begin.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning or afternoon now, Ms. Curtis. How are you doing? Good, good to hear. So, Ms. Curtis, would you please state your name for the record?
Yes, my name is CR438.
Okay. And I'm gonna ask you to keep your voice nice and loud, okay? It's gonna feel like you're shouting, but I promise you you're not, okay? Can you do that for me?
Yes, sir.
All right, perfect. Just like that. All right. So, Ms. Curtis, are you familiar with an address 18050 Hayes Street in the city of Detroit, County of Wayne?
Yes, sir.
And what is that address?
That is my home.
Okay. And were you present at your home on or about March 6th of 2025?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and did anything unusual happen on that day?
Yes.
What happened?
4:20 a.m. I can never forget it. I was up in the middle of the night with my son, tending to him. He's 9 months old, changing a diaper. From that time on, I'm on the phone with my best friend, and she's up with her baby at the same time, and watching a show with my son. All of a sudden, I just hear a whole lot of gunshots, and at the same time,
I'm gonna ask you a
Yes.
real quick question. Is your best friend in the courtroom here today?
no, she isn't.
Okay, just making sure.
Mhm.
I'm sorry to interrupt. You can continue.
Okay.
What happened when you were changing your son?
So as I was changing my son, I had the TV going at the same time on the phone with my friend, so I couldn't hear as much, but I heard what sounded like possibly firecrackers. Only to find out that it was gunshots.
Well, let's
And-
talk about what you heard specifically. What made you think it was firecrackers?
Just the initial sound, because I had one ear plugged with my earpod, and then the other one was so I could hear it kind of, but not really all the way. So I thought it was like firecrackers, but then when something lit across my face, as I turned, I'm looking around trying to see what the sound was. I felt a real hot burning sensation, and it felt like my ear was ringing. So I screamed, "Oh, I've been shot!" And dropped to the floor, covered my son, and was just in total shock, trying to understand like, how am I still, here and moving? Like, if I've been shot, what's going on? So I'm covering my son, and once all of the shots subsided, I immediately grabbed
How
my
many?
phone.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Okay.
How many shots did you hear?
Honestly, I'm unsure. I just know that something, I know I've been hit with something. And I wanted to make sure my baby was safe, so I couldn't tell how many. At that time, I was in a state of panic.
I know you're in a state of panic, but do you
Yes.
know how long these shots continued for?
I would say it started around 4:20, and then I know like good 5 minutes or so, then I called the cops at 4:28. I would never forget the time.
Okay. All right.
And
And did you eventually get to see if you were injured?
yes,
And were you injured?
I had a graze across my face. Yes, my face was swollen. Thank God it didn't go into my head. It just lightly touched me. I see my hair fly in the air. Like it was just instantly, everything happened so fast. So I thought I was hit, and thank God it just only grazed me a bit.
Okay. And did you see where these shots came from?
Afterwards, after the aftermath, the police had came and did their search and everything, and it came from the front of the home.
I'm gonna object as to speculation, and I believe we're getting into like the hearsay, I don't know the origin of this, how she knows that it came.
I'll lay a little foundation.
All right, objection sustained.
Well,
You gotta wait for me to
Unfortunately-
respond.
you have to let everyone get through, okay?
All right, that's how it works. If there's an objection, just pause for a moment, let me move on it and then we'll give you information.
Okay.
Yes?
Yes, I'm so sorry, yes. Okay.
It can't be a or an
I got you. Thank
Okay.
you.
Sorry.
Mhm.
All right.
Yes,
So you said that you eventually found out where these shots came from, correct?
yes.
Okay. And how did you find that out?
By looking at my wall,
Okay. And what did you determine from looking at your wall?
there was a gunshot through my wall, went from my front all the way to the back of my house. And I looked at the exit, I see the entry from my room and the exit of my room.
Okay. All right. One moment. Do you know who shot at your house?
No, at the time.
Okay, that's all I wanted to ask. Did you see anything about a potential shooter? Like, did you see any shapes or individuals or anything like that? Or was the only thing you saw?
Just a bullet hole.
All right. No further questions of this witness.
All right.
Cross-examination of this witness.
Ms. Curtis, I just have a couple of questions for you. If anything is unclear, just stop me and I'll rephrase, okay? Yes, yes, sorry. Okay, so at this address located as, I think it's 10850 Hay Street.
Yes,
Okay, you said you live there?
yes.
And who do you live there with?
I live with my mother, my brother, and my 3 children.
And the adults in the home, you said your mother, is that Miss Tamika Miller?
Yes,
And was she home on the night of this incident?
yes,
And you said your brother?
yes.
And what's your brother's name?
Parrish Miller.
And was he home on the night of this incident?
Yes,
And then, of course, you said you had your 9-month-old son with you.
yes.
And what's his name?
Carson Curtis.
Carson. And then were your 2 other children home as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, how old are those children?
10 and 8.
And was that the extent of everybody who was at the house on the night of the incident?
No, I have a cousin that was there as well, named Davon Miller.
Okay. And so including your cousin, was that the extent of everyone who was in the house at the time of this
Yes.
alleged shooting? Yes. And I'm sorry, is Davon an adult or a child?
An adult,
Male or female?
male.
I want to talk a little bit about the location of your bedroom in the house. Can you describe the layout of the house? Is it 1 story, 2 stories? How many bedrooms? If you could just go into the detail.
It is 2 stories and 3 bedrooms.
Okay.
1 bedroom at the top and it's 2 at the bottom.
Okay.
And the bedrooms are at the back of the house. Directly is the kitchen. And
Directly,
directly
sorry,
is,
so if you're coming closest to the street, is that what you mean by the kitchen? Or-
okay, so
Let's start at the front door of the home on Hay Street.
gotcha.
So if you're walking through the front door, what rooms are in front of you?
Okay, so when you walk through the front door, you're going to see the living room on the right side.
Okay.
On the left side is the dining area and kitchen combined.
Okay,
And then you go straight through the hall, there is my mom's room upstairs and also a bathroom on the right side.
Okay.
And then to the back will be my room on the left side and my children's room on the right.
so your room is on the first floor of the house,
Yes,
and
correct,
your children's room is also on the first floor of the house.
correct,
And
yes,
so if you're facing the front of the house from Hay Street, you said your bedroom is on the left-hand side, your children's is on the right-hand side.
correct.
And when you say that you saw a suspected bullet hole in your wall, which wall, and that you said there was an entry and an exit, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay, which walls do you think that the suspected bullet entered into?
From what direction?
Well, so I guess that's what I'm asking. Was it on the wall, closest to the Hay Street, closest to the driveway?
Hay Street.
Closest to Hay
Yes.
Street? Okay, as if someone had fired into the home from the front of the
Correct.
house? Yes, and you said there was an exit, and would that have been on the wall opposite basically, aligning your backyard, is that fair to say?
Yes, correct.
But to be clear, your bedroom is not at the front of the home closest to Hay Street, right?
Correct.
Okay, so there's another room that this suspected bullet would have had to travel through in order to get to your room, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So you and your 9-month-old son were in your bedroom,
Correct.
and your children, your other 2 children were in their bedroom,
Correct.
and your mother, if you know, was she up in her bedroom?
Yes.
Okay, and where was your brother?
He was upstairs in his bedroom as well.
So are there 2 bedrooms upstairs or 1 bedroom upstairs?
It's like connected, kind of. I can't explain. It's not 2 separate bedrooms, but it's 2 separate spaces.
Okay, so he's upstairs and your mother's upstairs as well.
As well.
And then what about your cousin? Where is
And he was downstairs in the basement at the time.
Okay. And I'm sorry, who is Sinai Brown? That's,
My daughter's and I.
okay, so your daughter Sinai, your son Caden,
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
and then Carson's the little one.
Yes, correct. Yes.
Now, there's a driveway immediately to the left of the home if you're facing the front door from Hay Street, correct?
Yes.
And on the night in question, there was a vehicle parked in the driveway, correct?
Yes.
Okay, was it 1 vehicle or 2 vehicles parked in your driveway?
One in the driveway.
Okay,
Yes, one in the driveway.
one in the driveway with the other in the garage.
Yes.
Okay, and do you recall what vehicle was parked in the driveway?
Yes, my mother.
Your mother's car. What kind of car was that?
Kia Sorento.
And when you walked out of the house after all this happened, you saw that the Kia Sorento had been shut up, correct?
Yes.
And there were several bullet holes or what you believe to be bullet holes in the Kia Sorento.
I believe it will help.
And at the time of the shooting, nobody was inside of the Kia, correct? To your knowledge,
Thank God. Yes, correct.
but that's correct, okay. And this is gonna sound like a silly question. The car that was in the garage was nobody was occupied, nobody was inside of the vehicle at the time of the shooting.
5 minutes before.
Okay, so whose vehicle was parked in the garage?
That was my cousin's.
And what kind of car was that?
A white Tahoe.
Do you remember if the garage door was open or closed at the time of the shooting?
It was closed at the time. It was closed.
So your cousin had just arrived just minutes prior to this happening?
No, we were all up late because my baby, sometimes he get up, babies are up in the middle of the night. So
I have a 10-month-old.
yeah,
so
so he was up, he went upstairs, just came in the house honestly, because sometimes, we hang outside sometimes to have a sip to drink or smoke a cigarette or something like that, to that nature, and they will come inside. So my cousin just came inside, made some tea, went downstairs, and then literally 20 minutes or so later, it's when the incident happened.
Okay.
Yes.
Were you the only person who called 911?
To my knowledge, I was.
Who is Larry Miller to you?
That is my uncle.
Your uncle?
Yes.
Is he your mother's brother?
Yes, blood related brother. Yes.
Was he at the house on the night of this incident?
No,
And does he, to your knowledge, ever drive the Kia Sorento?
never.
To your knowledge, does he ever drive the Tahoe that was in the crash?
No.
Now, don't tell me what was said, but have you talked to Larry about this case?
Your Honor, I'm going to object as to relevance about whether or not she's talked to a cousin about this.
Judge, without going, into our defense theory, I do believe that there is a purported link between the allegations against my client and identifying my client and this individual, Larry Miller. I think he's the causal chain.
He may be the causal chain, but that doesn't stop the incident from taking place.
I'm just asking for,
I
I'll
just wanna know whether or not she's supposed to.
correct.
All right, I'll overrule, she can't give any information of what was said.
Understood,
I
Judge.
don't know if she spoke to, you can answer the question.
Have you spoken with your uncle Larry Miller about this incident?
No details, but he knows of the incident.
After this happened, you spoke with the police on scene, correct?
Correct.
And then were you taken to a hospital or did you remain at home after this incident?
I had paramedics come and check my face.
Okay, and they came to check your face and did they transport you anywhere or did you stay home?
I stayed home.
Okay. Did anybody in the house, to your knowledge, go to the hospital that night?
No.
Just 1 moment, Judge. You testified that you heard shots for what you believed to be approximately 5 minutes before calling the police.
Yes, I was hysterical, so that's a big yes for me.
Okay. And when you felt what you thought might be either a bullet or debris on your cheek, was that within a minute before calling police, or was that sometime during the 5 minutes of the altercation, and then you kind of caught your breath and called the police after?
Okay, so when that happened,
Yes.
my first thought was to protect my baby.
Yes.
So I laid on the floor, I was hysterical, I thought I was dead, I was confused on how I was still moving around. So it was just a big mess. I had to make sure my son was safe. I laid down until I thought everything was clear to grab my phone. My phone was across the floor, so I laid on the floor and then I called the police. I believe it was like a good 8 minutes or so, the most in between, 5 to 8 minutes at that time frame.
And was the shooting going on during that entire time? Or it was, I guess what I'm trying to understand is, were you hearing shots for 5 or 8 minutes? Or did it take you 5 or 8 minutes to get your composure and then call the police?
I've heard shots, it was like a good 2 minutes or so, and then I had to like calm down and make sure my baby was safe, because that was my first priority. I wasn't even thinking of how many at that time.
Understood. Just 1 moment, Judge. I have no further questions, Judge.
All right, any redirect based on our questioning?
No, Your Honor.
All right, now you may sit down. Thank you so much. You may call your next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. People will be calling Christopher Grubin. Christopher Grubin, he should be right up. Sir.
Step on. Christopher with a K-R-I-S-T-O-P-H-E-R-G-R-U-B-E.
Sir, please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
All right, go ahead, pull that door for me. Have a seat. Just the microphone, you can pick it up here. Thank you. Get it all squared away. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, is Officer. All right. Officer, there you go, Officer. Could you please state your name for the record?
Police Officer Christopher Grubin.
All right, thank you. And Officer, how are you employed?
I am employed by the Detroit Department. I'm currently assigned to the 9th Precinct non-fatal shooting.
And how long have you been with ED?
5 years.
You're the officer in charge of this case, correct?
Yes,
Okay. And so you have done an investigation into an alleged shooting that occurred at 18050 Hayes Street in the city of Detroit on or about March 6th of 2025, correct?
yes.
Okay. And could you please tell me about your investigation into attempting to find the perpetrator?
So the investigation began on the night of the incident, early morning of the incident. I, along with my partners of the shooting team, responded to the address. We first spoke to the on-scene officers who advised us that they responded to a shot spotter as well as a 911 call to that residence. They directed us to the evidence they located in security shell casings.
Did you observe those shell casings?
Yes, I did.
What kind of shell casings were there?
There were 9mm shell casings.
How many shell casings were
6 shell casings, if I recall correctly.
there? Okay. And what did you do after you saw these shell casings?
I then approached the home in order to inspect the bullet holes that were found by the original responders.
Okay, did you observe any bullet holes?
Yes, I did.
All right. And where were these bullet holes?
There were 3 bullet holes on the front of the home facing the street, as well as bullet holes into the vehicle. The glass was broken, so I don't know how many shots.
So you mentioned a vehicle. Was there a vehicle on scene?
Yes, there was.
What kind of vehicle was it?
There was a Kia SUV.
And where was this vehicle located?
It was parked in the driveway, up the driveway, adjacent to the home.
Okay, could you tell me how many bullet holes were in that car?
I couldn't tell. The glass is broken, so I couldn't tell.
Okay. So after you did your investigation, I'll ask one more question about the shell casings. Where were the shell casings on scene?
They were located directly in front of the home in the street.
Okay. And what did you do after you had looked at the car, the house, and the shell casings?
I personally, conducted a canvass of the neighborhood. I then went and knocked on doors, located witnesses. I ordered the evidence technicians to the scene to collect that evidence, document it. From there, we went back to the station, forwarded our reports. I reviewed the statement that was taken on the scene. I think we called that a day.
Okay, I'll ask this. Did you find anything on your canvas?
I did. While canvassing, I discovered at 13,001 Hayes, there was a liquor store, which was a part of the project frame with cameras on the exterior.
Okay. So after the night of the incident, did your investigation continue, or was that it?
Yes, it did.
All right, so what happened next?
After sending out all our initial paperwork, making notifications, I reviewed that green light footage from 13,000. In doing so, I observed on camera.
Your Honor, I'm going to object to both best evidence rule and any testimony from the contents of the video, which I don't have as a discovery issue. I believe the officer could proceed to tell us what he did as a result of reviewing the footage, but any testimony concerning the footage itself would be improper at this time.
Your Honor, I believe that he can talk about what he observed upon reviewing video, as well as the fact that the lack of green light footage in this case is not due in any part to the officers or the prosecution. It's a digital glitch.
I guess we just do, I don't know if there's been testimony on this record showing that there was a digital glitch with regard to why we don't have the footage.
Well, I think how we should go about doing this. I want to sustain her objections right now. You can go into talking about the video and why it's not present, and then that can establish it in the record.
Okay, I'll lay that foundation. All right, so you mentioned that you had looked at green light footage for this case, is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. Do you have that green light footage today?
I do not.
And why is that?
Can I correct my previous answer?
I suppose, what are you saying?
We have footage from we have still shots from some of the green lights that I used. We also have footage from one of the green light locations, security footage. Some of the green light footage that I reviewed, yes, I did not, I was not able to put that on evidence.
Okay. And would that footage that you did upload, would that have been from Sunoco?
That's correct.
Okay. All right, would that have been surveillance footage or green light? From the
So that video was taken from their private security video. Oh, so that would be their security.
Okay. So as far as green light is concerned, all you have are those stills that you mentioned?
That is correct.
Okay. And why do you only have stills?
I downloaded as I was typing my search warrant, I reviewed, I can't remember the amount of my cameras, so it's 15 to 20 different locations. I downloaded all of those videos onto an external hard drive. Somewhere, as I was trying to transfer those files from my hard drive to my computer to upload those to evidence.com, my hard drive, I don't know how to do it. I don't have any files.
Okay. So you're not sure what happened?
I'm not sure.
Okay. All right. Where were you able to pull those stills from in order to send them to us?
So while I was reviewing that green light footage, I used this screenshot application on my computer to take screenshots. That's what I was using to take a mental note of the time frame of the locations. So I was taking screenshots so I could review, X time to Y time throughout the course of the month, so my search warrant. I emailed those to our crime intel analysts as I was looking for assistance to put more eyes on the camera systems. Maybe those guys work 24 hours a day. Maybe they see something. Maybe they can find a plate. So I took those pictures from those emails, downloaded them, and re-uploaded them.
Okay. All right. At any time, did you attempt to get that original video?
Yes.
Okay, and what happened?
The green light system, it purges itself just to free up more space for more recordings in the live stream. When I learned, or by the time that I learned that I didn't have those videos, which was unfortunately late in the process as I was trying to upload my evidence, that video had already expired from the green light system. Couldn't be recovered.
Okay. All right. Your Honor, at this point, I'd ask if I can question based on his observations of that footage.
Counsel?
Yeah. It's just our position that I don't believe that people have established that the originals have been lost or destroyed. I think the testimony here establishes that it's not on his computer anymore and it's of no fault of his own. It didn't upload. I don't know if we can have an IT person remedy that to try and recover these videos. So I don't think the court can make a finding that they've been lost or destroyed on the basis of this testimony. So I would ask to exclude it at this time.
Well, I think that can be additional work as evidence obviously is always going to be discoverable at any point, and I think he's given a thorough explanation for his attempts to try and upload it. He did have the opportunity to view it. It's not like he even screenshot some of the photos and was able to send it to someone. So at this point in time, I will allow it, but with the objection notice for the record at this point in time, and to continue with that attempt to try and get this video if at all possible.
I'll try to keep the testimony focused as well.
Okay, please, thank you.
All right. So when you reviewed this green light photo from that, I believe you said liquor store, did you see anything?
Yes, it was.
Sorry. All right. Did you see anything of note?
Yes.
What did you see?
One of the cameras affixed to the liquor store faces due north. Liquor store is on the west side of Hayes. The residence where this incident took place on the east side of Hayes, just to the north. So within this camera view, I observed the incident location as well as Hayes Street to the north and to the south, as well as Walnut Cross Street. In reviewing that video, I can observe that at 4:19 a.m., I see a white pickup truck. This video is only coming out with a white pickup truck, stops, parks just west, facing east, of Hayes. 4:20 a.m., approximately 4:20 a.m. Car makes a northbound turn, truck makes a northbound turn. It stops, I can see its brake lights illuminate, and parks in front of the home, located at 18050 So from that green light, I can see the car sits there for 20 seconds approximately. It then continues northbound. I can also observe that there are no other vehicles on the road, and that's the sole vehicle that is on Hayes at that time for almost a minute before and after. I see that car continue north on Hayes and then review the second green light location.
Okay. And what did you see at the second green light location?
At the intersection of 7 Mile and Hayes, there is a green light gas station, 15201 East 7 Mile. This camera, it is on the northeast corner of the intersection, facing to the west, facing Hayes. I observed that same vehicle continuing north into the camera view, which now provided me the opportunity to identify the vehicle as a white Ram pickup truck. I also discovered that it had a moon roof as well as
I didn't hear that word. What was that? It had a what?
it had a sunroof, a moon roof.
Okay.
I observed the sunroof as well as the black badges and emblems, black rims. And I observed it continue north out of camera.
Okay. And did you continue to follow that vehicle on other green light footage?
From there, I backtracked. I went in reverse prior to these. I did not discover it after that.
Okay. So what did you discover from before the incident as you backtracked on the
There is at 14400 East 7 Mile Road, there is a Valero gas station, which is a green light and equipped with LPR cameras.
What does that stand for?
License plate reader cameras. They're still cameras. Take still shots with this. Unfortunately, those are not working. I observed that vehicle, the same white Ram pickup truck with all the prior described identifiers. I observed that it was coming east of East 7 Mile. I then went further west down East 7 Mile, the area of 7 Mile and Gratiot, where I observed that vehicle, the same vehicle, same identifiers. Continued further westbound, 7 Mile and Shaner, observed that same vehicle. Further westbound, 7 Mile and Hoover.
Judge, I just want to object and ask that the court instruct the witness to clarify. He's not witnessing this in real time. He's witnessing this on the camera footage. I just want to make sure the record is clear.
All right, absolutely. And counsel, could you just give me clarification to how you are giving me the dates with these locations?
Absolutely. So this is not live footage at the time you're watching it, correct?
Correct.
Okay. This has all been recorded previously, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And you are watching those recordings sort of in reverse almost, correct?
Yes, exactly what I did was I put the video in reverse. I pulled up 3 closest green lights from each camera that I had from the start. And I followed in reverse, watched the videos in reverse, watching it go out of sight from one location, westbound, in reverse, so really it's traveling east in normal time, to the next location. Then I pulled up the camera footage from the next closest location further west. And I continued that on those 15 separate gas stations, green light locations.
Okay. And did your investigation into this continuing to go backwards on the green light, your backwards investigation, recover anything to further the investigation?
Yes.
What did you recover?
In reviewing those videos on the drainage system, I observed that 4:02 a.m. that vehicle pulled into a gas station parking lot at 7 Mile and Hoover. I then went to that gas station at 7 Mile and Hoover, and I pulled the security footage off of the DVR system inside of the gas station. I reviewed that footage, showed that vehicle parked in front of the gas station, 3 occupants. Passenger gets out of the vehicle, inside, buys a drink, cigar, leaves, gets back into the front passenger seat of the car. He tucks a firearm, adjusts a firearm that's in his waistband. The vehicle then leaves, continuing eastbound on East.
Okay. Was there anything identifying about any of these individuals that you saw in the security?
Yes. The front passenger, he was wearing a black hoodie with the words repo agent on the front and back.
Okay. And what information did that provide you for your investigation?
So with that information, it was my understanding that he was possibly a tow truck driver, repo agent. I conducted a search within the Detroit Police record management system for the keyword repo agent. It provided me hundreds of reports. I reviewed one of those reports. I don't know if I had just listed in my investigative report, in which there was a previous incident. I pulled up the body worn camera from the officer responding to that prior incident. In reviewing that body worn camera, I observed that the individual.
Objection, I do not have this body worn camera in my possession at this time, so I would object same grounds, best evidence rule. I don't know if it exists either, but I don't have it. So I would move to exclude contents at this time.
Your Honor, again, this is something that he observed, discovery is ongoing. But I can.
Yes. Unless it's critical, move on at this time.
Okay. So I'll ask you this way. After conducting your additional research into prior cases, did you develop a suspect of who that person with the repo shirt or sweatshirt, that article of clothing, did you develop a suspect as to who that may be?
Yes.
Okay, who was that suspect?
Christian Patrick Taylor.
Okay. And did your investigation continue after you developed that suspect?
Yes.
Okay. And what did you do after you developed that suspect?
With that name, I conducted a search within Secretary of State, in which I discovered his address, registered vehicles. I conducted a search within an application called Clear, which provided me with his Facebook page, as well as other social media sites that it reviewed. On his public Facebook page, I observed a picture of a white ram.
Judge, I'm going to continue my objection to best evidence rule. I do not have this photograph
Photograph of what?
of what he purports to have observed on the
It's on
Facebook page.
Facebook.
It's public, Your Honor.
Hearsay as well.
Your Honor, a picture is a hearsay.
I'm gonna say it's part of his investigation.
That doesn't render it, that doesn't mean that they don't need to produce, again, a hard copy of the contents of what he's referring to under the rules of evidence.
I agree.
So I think we can, this is a different situation other than the green light footage. We know we don't know if it exists. With regard to the Facebook picture, image, there's been no testimony that it doesn't affect this anymore. So it's a discovery violation as well as a best evidence rule objection.
It's fine. Why is there not this information being provided? I'm very confused right now. I'll be honest.
I understand, Judge. So as a result of your investigation,
I'm saying, why is this not being provided? I don't understand. This part of his testimony, why doesn't she have some of this evidence?
Your Honor, I only have what I have on evidence.com. I only have what's uploaded. And Your Honor, it's my opinion that Facebook would be public. It's a public Facebook account. It's the officer's direct observation.
I don't know.
Do you want me to respond?
No, your objection is noted for the record. I will move this continuing investigation. This needs to be preserved as of today, or else I don't know what they're gonna do. Continue.
Thank you, Your Honor. All right. So after looking into this Facebook, did you develop any other suspects about who might also be in that vehicle?
At that point, no.
Okay. Did there come a time when you developed any other suspects as to who may be in that vehicle?
Up to the point the arrest was made, we had one identified suspect.
Okay.
I identified a suspect vehicle.
Okay. Were you able to get identifying information from that vehicle?
Yes, I was.
Okay. And what identifying information did you get from that vehicle?
The license plate
Okay. And who was that license plate registered
to Mr. Weston Hawkins.
to? Okay. With this information, did you continue your investigation?
Yes.
Okay. And what did you do regarding Mr. Weston Hawkins?
I conducted a search with the Secretary of State on Mr. Weston Hawkins and his registered vehicles. That provided me a return listing that he was the registered owner of a white Ram. I cross-referenced the security footage from the gas station at 7 Mile Hoover, in which I had previously identified the first two letters of the license plate as David Zebra, DZ.
Okay.
Secretary of State
Continue, I'm sorry.
Secretary of State provided me the full license plate of a vehicle, the same identifiers, the same make model, provided the full license plate that also began with DZ, completed it as the David Zebra Union license plate. With that, I conducted a search on the license plate, which provided me a return of the VIN, the vehicle identification number. I took that vehicle identification number, I typed a search warrant to AT&T to provide me the call detail records and GPS locations attached to that VIN number.
Okay. And did you discover anything as a result of that?
I received a return from AT&T.
And I'm gonna continue my objection under the best evidence rule. I don't have these records.
All of this is on that stuff, as well as that previously mentioned one.
You don't respond back. I respond back.
Your Honor, everything that I have is been sent out.
Has it been uploaded onto evidence.com?
I'm receiving information that it has, and everything on evidence I sent over to the feds.
And what I'm representing to the court is I've downloaded all of the links that Mr. Group has sent, and none of them include a CDR record of locations that the vehicle was purported to be at. So I'm just, I don't have it.
One second.
Okay.
I'll just move on.
Okay.
All right. Did there come a time when you interviewed Mr. Weston?
Yes,
Did you interview him regarding this incident?
yes, I did.
Okay, and when did you do that?
I believe it was March 11th. I can't recall.
Okay. I can't recall. Was looking at your investigative report, fresh recollection.
Yes.
Approach.
Okay.
Just take a look there, and when you're ready, let me know. All right. Is your memory refreshed?
Yes, it is.
All right. What date was that interrogation or the interview?
It was March 18th.
Okay. Where was that interview done?
The interview was conducted at Mr. Hawkins' home. Shelburne.
Was it inside his home?
The interview physically took place in the rear of his car.
Okay. Who was present for this interview?
I, along with Detective Bushnell.
Okay.
For a portion, I believe it was Charles Brodsky, I believe was the officer that was in the car for a few minutes.
Okay. All right. Who was actively interviewing Mr. Hawkins?
Originally, Detective Wisniewski started the conversation. I would say he was primarily speaking to him until I got in the car. And I took over.
Okay. Did you see, is it officer or detective?
Detective Wisniewski.
Detective Wisniewski. Did you see him Miranda as the defendant?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Did you give him his full Miranda warnings?
Yes, he did.
Okay. Was this interview recorded?
Yes, it was.
How was it recorded?
It was recorded via camera that is in the backseat of the vehicle, basically.
Okay. So, officer, you've had time to look at this video, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Would you agree with me that the quality of the video is pretty poor?
Yes.
Okay. Why is that?
Unfortunately, the cameras in our vehicles, they're not equipped to record well in low light situations. It was unfortunately early in the morning. It was a low light situation, which led to draining basically.
Okay. Now, did Mr. Hawkins appear to understand what was happening as he was read his Miranda rights?
Yes.
Okay. Did he appear to be drunk, high, on medication?
No.
Okay. Did he waive his Miranda rights to speak with you, or did he say something?
He agreed to speak.
Okay. So, in the course of that interview, what was asked?
So as I stated earlier, up until this point, Mr. Hawkins was not a suspect in this investigation. He was not under arrest then. Regardless, given the circumstances that his vehicle was used, I began the line of questioning by asking who the possessor of that vehicle is, who would have ownership of that vehicle, who would use that vehicle. To which Mr. Hawkins, he told me that nobody other than him used that vehicle, other than the very rare off chance that maybe his father used the truck. With that information, I then narrowed in on a time frame, and I believe I started with a month. And I asked, within the last month, who else has used your vehicle? To which he advised nobody had used his vehicle. From there, I lowered the time frame to 2 weeks. The same answer, but nobody used his vehicle. So finally, I asked him the direct date of March 6th. And I asked if he was aware of an incident that took place on March 6th. Originally, I believe he told me multiple times he couldn't remember, nothing stood out. I then advised him that I did see his vehicle on camera at the previously described locations on that date, on that morning. And I'd asked, you had just told me that you were the only one that used that vehicle. So maybe give me the information on how I saw your vehicle now over here. I didn't think it was at that point that Mr. Hawkins decided that he wanted to cooperate with us. And ultimately, he advised us that prior in the week, he had had an incident with an individual named Larry Miller over text. I can't recall the argument directly, but it's something involving a domestic situation, relationship. There were threats made towards Mr. Hawkins. Fast forward a week, he had told me that he was at a bar with Christian, the front passenger, and one of Christian's friends that he did not know the name of. He said they were at this bar. He wasn't sure of what bar or where they were, or what time, or what city they were in. But as they were coming out of the bar, he told me that he had been shot at. When he was shot at, he took that as this was possibly Larry Miller acting out on these threats that had been made previously. He told me after that, he decided that he needed to end it. He needed to fix the problem. And in his eyes, the best way to do that was he returned to his home on Chevron Avenue. He armed himself with his .40 caliber pistol. He got to the rear passenger side of his truck with Christian as the front passenger and the unknown individual driving. He provided the location of 18050 Hayes Street. He said they arrived to the home. Both he and Christian rolled down their passenger side windows of the vehicle. And he said they fired multiple shots with the intent to shoot the car. He said after that, they drove off. They left.
Okay.
At that point, I ended the interrogation and advised him that he was going to be going to BBC today.
All right. Do you recall if he said he was in the car or out of the car when the shooting happened?
Yes, he was in the car.
Okay. Do you recall if he said anything about anyone else, where anyone else was shooting?
His words to me was that he was in the back. He was in the rear of the vehicle on the passenger side. He fired his .40 caliber pistol out of the rear passenger window towards the house with the intent of hitting the vehicle that was parked in the driveway. Christian was sitting in the front passenger seat, also firing towards the house. So the driver was unarmed.
Okay. One. Nothing further.
All right.
Okay, officer, so first, you get notified of a shooting on March 6th, correct?
Yes, correct.
And you go over to the address where the shooting happened, right?
Yes.
And this is the Hayes Street, 18050 Hayes Street.
Yes.
And you were there along with several of your other colleagues.
Yes.
And those are other Detroit Police Department officers.
Yes, correct.
And so maybe fair to say there's 8 to 10 of you on the scene.
I think that morning, we have been very short staffed, unfortunately. I believe there was 3 of us, 3 shooting team members, as well as there was 2 scout cars, 2 parked scout cars. So maybe 4 patrol officers as well.
And they're all wearing body worn camera, to your knowledge.
Patrol, yes.
Patrol, you are not, because you are,
We respond from our homes. So.
okay. That was okay, if you're not, I mean, you're not, okay. If you recall, how approximately, were you the first to arrive on scene?
I believe Sergeant Anderson. First of the shooting team?
I guess first of any officer to arrive.
No. The patrol officers arrive, then they notify all the way through the chain of command, and then eventually we get called.
Guess you get woken up, you had
Yeah,
person,
yeah,
okay,
unfortunately,
so you go over to the resident.
Yes.
So fair to say, you're not there for at least several minutes after the shooting.
Correct. I believe in this instance, it was almost an hour.
Almost an hour,
Yeah.
okay. And you testified that you yourself observed casings in the street in front of the house,
Yes,
and those were 9mm casings?
yes,
And I just want to be clear, the house, there's a front lawn in front of the house, correct?
correct.
So the house, this is again gonna sound silly, is not immediately adjacent to the street itself.
Correct. Between the street, there was a sidewalk as well as the front yard.
Okay, in the front yard, fair to say, we're looking at about 40 to 50 feet from the sidewalk of the front of the house, from the front door to the sidewalk.
They're on Hayes, with it being a main street, they are smaller yard. It's really about 20 feet.
Okay, 20 feet, but then you have the sidewalk and then you have the street.
20 feet from the street. They're very shallow lots.
All of the casings that you observed were on Hayes Street.
Yes, on Hayes Street, as well as, I guess the curb we call it, but most were in the street.
Okay. I just want to make sure I'm clear on this. You said that at some point you did receive a partial license plate for the white vehicle you suspected of being involved in the shooting, correct?
Yes.
And that was from one of the Greenland videos, or that was from the Sunoco gas station surveillance footage?
That is from the Sunoco gas station footage.
Okay, and then, so you recover, I think you said the first 2 letters or numbers of the license plate, right? From that footage?
Correct.
Then you continue your investigation on Facebook. I mean, not direct.
Really?
At some point, you ultimately end up on
Yeah,
Facebook.
it's clear is what it's called,
Okay,
but it provides us a list of like Facebook, MySpace, Instagram. It's one thing. It just shows us whatever public information is available. It just scrapes the web and just puts it. on
and
our
was
Facebook.
it this truck that you saw on Facebook?
Yes, it was the cover photo of the profile of the truck.
Okay, and was the full license plate in that photo?
No, the full license plate was not that. It was
Okay,
not in the photo on Facebook.
was the VIN in the photo on the Facebook?
No.
Okay, so explain to me how you ultimately got the VIN.
So I observed first the front passenger that we had identified, his page.
And that person is Kristen Fitzpatrick?
Correct. His profile is friends with Mr. Hawkins. They're friends on Facebook. They had comments between each other under posts. And I had observed while reviewing Christian's page, Mr. Hawkins' profile picture. In the rear of the photo, the profile picture was a white Ram.
Okay, so you saw Mr. Hawkins' Facebook page, and in his own Facebook page, you saw the RAM.
Correct.
And that led you to submit Mr. Hawkins' information to the Secretary of State.
Correct.
Okay,
Which then
got it.
gave me the license.
Okay, understood. And Christian Fitzpatrick, did you speak with him?
Unfortunately, he's unable to be found. I executed a search warrant at his home. I attempted to execute a pen. His phone was made inactive, the number being changed multiple times.
Okay, but you haven't recommended issuing a warrant against Mr. Fitzpatrick, have you?
Personally, I did, but it was denied.
Okay, so the prosecutors, to your understanding, the prosecutor's office denied the warrant against
Correct.
Fitzpatrick?
Correct.
And to be clear, it's your understanding that the 9mm was associated with Mr. Fitzpatrick.
That is correct.
Okay, I want to jump forward a bit to when you come into contact with my client. So ultimately, based on getting the VIN information and matching it to the vehicle that you believe was involved in the shooting, you request a search warrant for Mr. Hawkins' residence. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Both search warrants were obtained at the same time.
Okay, which one did you conduct first?
We conducted the first search warrant at Christian's residence.
Okay, let's put that on pause for a second. So turning to when you conducted a search warrant, my client's residence, you it was a search of the residence or a search of the vehicle, or both was submitted inside the warrant?
It was a search of the residence to locate the vehicle as well as any firearms, given that the vehicle was used in the shooting.
Okay, and you yourself already said that my client wasn't a suspect at that time,
At that point,
right?
no, he would be.
So of course, there was no arrest warrant for him at that time,
That's correct.
and there was no probable cause to arrest him for a crime at that time.
Correct.
But nonetheless, to effectuate the search warrant, you handcuff him, right?
Anytime we conduct a search warrant for a crime, nature of this crime was a shooting, it is our procedure that everybody goes until the scene is made secure.
So you handcuffed his father as well?
They were, I believe, placed in a raid van with a child.
Okay.
I personally didn't handcuff, I got there after the fact.
Okay, but to be clear, Mr. Hawkins was the only one who was handcuffed on scene and put in the back of the squad car.
They were all detained in police vehicles. Everybody was, I'm sure of that. I believe there was like a 6-year-old, they would not have put the 6-year-old.
Well, yeah,
The other.
that I understand. We're talking about adults. That I understand. Okay. But to your knowledge, they had handcuffed and detained every single adult on the scene.
To my knowledge, every occupant of that home was ordered out and detained. I was not there to testify to how that was done. I responded after the fact where Mr. Hawkins was already detained and handcuffed in the car.
And when you arrived, you joined your colleague in the squad car who started questioning my client. Is that right?
Yes,
My client's in his boxers. He's not wearing clothes.
correct.
Okay,
Well,
and
I got him dressed first.
before the questioning?
I got into the car. I asked, would you like to speak? I don't, to the effect of, would you like to speak to me? He said, can you help me get dressed first? I helped him get dressed first.
Okay, so before you Mirandized him, you helped him get dressed. That's your
Yes.
testimony?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay, and you said you observed your partner Mirandize my client,
Correct.
that at no point did your partner present a Miranda rights form for my client to sign.
Correct.
And in fact, department policy advises that you should present someone you're interrogating with an advisory rights form, right?
Correct.
And go through each of those rights on a written page, right?
Correct.
And they usually, you'll have an initial, saying that they understood all of those rights, correct?
Correct.
And then sign a written sign that form for constitutional, advice of constitutional rights.
Correct.
And in this case, you didn't do that.
Correct.
Okay, so you proceed to question my client, right?
Yes.
And you said, he told you that he had a 40mm pistol, right? Sorry, 40 caliber.
Yes.
Well, yeah. Wow, it's been a long day. He had a 40 caliber,
That's
Correct.
Yes.
not a 9.
Correct.
So, and I want to talk about, how these disclosures that my client was involved in this incident came forward. So you said that your partner gave him his Miranda warnings. So you felt that he understood, right? For you and your partner.
We actually made him explain his rights back to us before we spoke to him.
So you start asking him questions about his association with the vehicle, right?
Yes.
And before any information concerning March 6th is disclosed or discussed by my client, you asked him, I guess, you had to ask him several times about what happened, right, Thursday?
Yes. Yes. I have
And-
multiple questions at the same time.
Right. He actually doesn't say anything incriminating for at least 30 to 40 minutes into the interview, fair to say? The substance of the
no,
incriminating information was divulged late on the second half of the interview.
At the point that he told me that nobody used his vehicle except for him, that was the moment of my mind. From the time I got into that car, regardless, I interrogated him, or we ran as, cover our bases because we did not have our paperwork with us. We wanted to be extra careful. But the moment he told me, no, nobody uses my car other than me, that's where me in my mind, that went from an interview to an interrogation.
Okay, so that's when you lied and told him that he shot up a cop's house?
That was not a lie.
Oh, so if,
He shot up,
okay,
I misspoke, he shot up a police officer's daughter's house. That's what I did.
okay, but you originally told him that the house
Yeah.
that was shot up was a police officer's home.
Yeah.
So that was a lie.
Yeah.
And you told him that it would be in his best interest to cooperate with you.
Yes,
And you told him that, you can't make any promises, but it would look a lot better with the prosecutor if he did confess.
that is false.
Fair to say he didn't just willingly volunteer this information, that he was involved in this incident. You had to coax it out of him.
No, that's false.
You mentioned that there was information that you received from Mr. Hawkins during the course of the interview that the white SUV was occupied by 3 people at the time of the shooting?
Yes,
Okay. So that would have been Mr. Hawkins himself, one of them, right?
correct,
Christian Fitzpatrick,
correct.
and then a third individual,
Yes.
correct? And to your knowledge, that person was an adult male.
Your Honor, I'm gonna
I don't
jump
know.
at this point to relevance as to the third person that you're.
Counsel.
Well, Judge, I won't put the cart in front of the horse, but I think we're here on an aiding and abetting theory. There's no testimony that Mr. Hawkins, the person who actually fired the gun, the casings that were recovered were 9mm casings, not the .40 caliber. So if we believe all of the testimony here today, I believe the people are proceeding on an aiding and abetting theory. Now, if that's the case, who is he aiding and abetting? Where is Mr. Fitzpatrick? And where is the third person who could have potentially also been the shooter? So I don't see, of course, I think it is relevant to know if who were my clients purported to aid and abet in this shooting.
Sorry. Question of the objection, I allow him to answer if no.
Did you gather any more information about the third person in the vehicle?
I don't recall the nickname, Mr. Hawkins. I believe he provided me a nickname, but that's all the information we get on the third person.
So after Mr. Hawkins, you completed the interview with Mr. Hawkins, did you do any further investigation to this third individual? Yes,
Yes,
and that investigation came up short?
yes.
I don't need to go into everything, just one moment, Jeff. Did you investigate Larry Miller?
Objection, Your Honor, that's again, an unrelated party.
I want to sustain that objection at this point.
And Judge, for the record, I believe it's a link name that has now been linked both to my client and the other complaining witness in this court, so I do think it's relevant.
Well, the officer testified for a while about it, and I didn't get any objection. I didn't object either to him saying what the alleged offense was potentially that he was there for. I think it was on some domestic violence related matter that.
Well, yes, then I would submit that the people opened the door, or the witness opened the door to further question. I'm not gonna belabor the point, I just wanted to ask if any follow-up was in fact done into this individual.
Well, whether or not follow-up was done, Your Honor, doesn't weigh on this case at all.
Question, keep it, plaintiff's objection.
Did you yourself speak with Ms. Curtis, Kai Curtis?
Yes, I did.
Did you speak with any of the other adults who were in the home at the time of the alleged shooting?
I spoke to everybody briefly. I didn't take statements from anybody. I remember when I got there, you know, pleasantries pretty much. Hey, how's it going? I'm sorry about hiring and so on, stuff like that.
And it's fair to say it would be your understanding that they didn't see anything.
That's correct.
Because, and I'm anticipating this speculative objection, but obviously you're trained to take reports from witnesses, right?
Yes, I am.
And so if the witness had seen something, you certainly would have written that down.
Yes.
Yeah, and taken a report and taken a statement from that witness.
Sure.
And we don't have that in this case.
Correct.
Okay. Just one moment, Judge.
Okay.
Can you, just briefly, at the close of your interrogation with Mr. Hawkins, you advised that there would be more or less a follow-up interrogation once he was actually secured at the DDC, is that right?
Yes,
Okay, and at that point, you had indicated to Mr. Hawkins that you had planned to present him with a constitutional rights form, advice of rights.
at that point, that was my plan.
Did that follow-up interview ever happen?
No,
And as far as the video of the rear camera footage, which captured the interrogation, it's your testimony that the lighting is the reason that the video is fuzzy and unclear?
yes, it was like, very, very dark. Yes, there's no lights in the vehicles.
Okay. This interrogation happened when it was dark outside, right? And rear cameras of squad cars capture content with regularity during nighttime, correct?
Yes,
So certainly they've captured video footage when the lighting was of similar conditions, yes?
correct.
So it can't be the lighting.
They all look like that.
So why-
80% of the videos I reviewed from rear scout car cameras, keep in mind, this was a special, this vehicle is not in, the vehicle that Mr. Hawkins was in was not a fully marked white and blue and red Detroit police car. This was a black semi-marked special operations vehicle.
Okay, so for semi-marked special ops vehicles, that is the normal footage.
Correct. There's no lights on the rear. There's no cabin lights, so a patrol vehicle, there's a laptop, there's a dashboard, there's all kinds of lights in the car. In the special ops vehicle, we don't have any of that.
And you figured when you're questioning him, that's okay, we'll only have,
This already
blurry-
answer our question.
You weren't wearing body cam at the time,
I was not wearing body.
and your colleague was not wearing body cam at the time.
That's correct.
So to your knowledge, this rear camera that you know doesn't frequently work during the lighting conditions as is, was the only video that was operational at the time.
Right, I confirmed that the video was functional and operational, as is the status given by the on-vehicle watch guard system. Showed that that camera was operable and functioning as installed. I used that camera.
I have no further questions.
Can you redirect based on that?
Extreme. Officer, why did you give Miranda, the Miranda paperwork in this instance?
Why didn't I?
Yeah.
I didn't have any on.
And when you asked the defendant to repeat his rights back to him, did he do so?
Yes, he did.
Did he seem to understand what he was saying?
Yes.
Nothing further.
Also, you may step down, thank you. Additional witnesses,
No, Your Honor.
witnesses for the defense at this time.
No, Judge.
I will do that.
Thank you.
Argument,
So, Your Honor, I'll address
count 4, 5, and 6 first, and their accompanying felony firearms. That is a firearms discharge in or out of building, firearms discharge from vehicle, and carrying concealed weapon, concealed or otherwise in the vehicle. So, Your Honor, I think that the testimony that's been produced today is fairly uncontroversial, that the defendant admitted under a Mirandized interrogation that he was present in the vehicle at that location, that he had a pistol on him, that he fired that pistol from his vehicle, and that he aimed it at the building intending to hit the vehicle that was parked in the driveway next to it. Your Honor, the next thing I think that needs to be addressed is the list of assaultive charges. And here is where things get sticky and interesting. So I believe there are actually two sorts of legal doctrines at play here. Number one, I believe defense is correct that there is sort of this aiding and abetting portion of this going on. That there was testimony given today that this involved this potential co-defendant, Mr. Fitzgerald Taylor, was firing at or near the vehicle, at or near the building and vehicle, and that the defendant was firing towards the house at the vehicle. So, Your Honor, this is a group of people acting in concert to shoot up this location. They claim principally at the car, however, they're firing at this building. The next doctrine that takes over, Your Honor, is, I believe, a sort of doctrine of transfer of intent. When you are intending to commit a crime, here, if the defendant intended to shoot at the vehicle only, and those bullets went and struck this complainant, Your Honor, I would argue that his intent to commit that wrong would transfer as an assault on this complaining witness. That the very fact that he is shooting at this house, you intend the natural consequences of your actions. I think that that goes without saying. So when he intends to shoot towards this house, due to this beef that he has, when he intends to shoot at this car, if a bullet goes into that house, Your Honor, I believe that that should show intent to commit these assaultive crimes. That this was some sort of act of vengeance, maybe? Your Honor, we have that as a motive. Whether this was done to scare, to harm, the intent is clear. So, Your Honor, people are asking you to bind over as to all of the counts present, including the associated count of firearms. If Your Honor has any questions, I'd be happy to. I'll reserve any further for one.
The defense objects to the bind over on all counts, but I want to start with count one because I think that is the people's weakest argument here, and then I'll move on to the aiding and abetting argument. The problem with the people's argument is that there is no transferred intent for assault with intent to murder in the way that they represent. Assault with intent to murder is a specific intent crime. It is distinguished from assault with intent to do great bodily harm, less than murder. And why is that important? Because the people here have not shown any specific intent to kill in this case. The conduct, as the people purport, or what the people purport to have happened, is even in their own words, a reckless disregard for the safety of others. There were no statements of threats to kill or no testimony that this shooting was in fact targeted at an individual. And I want to point the court to case law on this. People versus Taylor, 422 Mish 554, 1985. And I think Taylor is particularly illuminating because it says the following. An intent to kill for purposes of this offense, namely AWIM, may not be proven by an intent to inflict great bodily harm or a wanton and willful disregard of the likelihood that the natural tendency of the act will likely cause death or great bodily harm. In other words, specific intent to kill is necessary to support even finding a probable cause by this court and to bind it over, and is distinguishable from reckless disregard. What I actually, when I briefed this issue in a previous case, found illuminating is, for instance, a murder can be charged with a lesser level of intent than specific intent to kill required for an AWIM. And I do not see it in this case. What we have is the firing of shots. If we assume that the interrogation is in fact admissible, which I put to this forward to this court, I don't believe it is based on the testimony here without the signature of the Miranda form, but I practiced in front of this court long enough to know that that is not the battle that I'm winning today. So with that being said, even if we take my client's statement as admissible, which we dispute, what we have is my client in possession of a .40 caliber pistol where 9mm casings were recovered from the street from the scene and firing towards an unoccupied vehicle parked in a driveway. It is a terrible consequence that the vehicles happen to ricochet and or go through a house and almost strike someone, but that doesn't mean that the people can establish specific intent to kill on that basis. And I don't even think we can't just say that just by virtue of the fact that a gun was used in this offense that we have specific intent to kill. That is not what our case law allows for. Otherwise, every single case that involves a gun would be charged as an AWIM, and we know that it's not the case, that does not happen. So for those reasons, I'm asking for a dismissal of the AWIM count. With regard to the remaining charges, I do believe that people are trying to proceed under an aiding and abetting theory without a principle. That is a very bizarre, in my years of practice, I haven't seen this, where they have declined to issue a warrant on the person that they actually think is the most culpable, and instead are pursuing my client under an aiding and abetting theory without the principal who actually committed the crime. I actually don't think there is a legal grounds. I guess my legal argument, aside from the fact that this is odd, is the fact that they would have to establish probable cause that my client aided and abetted this person, this principal. And the fact that they haven't named that person or brought forth probable cause that a crime was committed by the principal, as evidenced by the fact that they denied a warrant against this person, I don't see how we can charge my client under that theory. So what I think we're left with, Judge, is a carrying a concealed weapon charge in a vehicle that would not fall under an aiding and abetting theory. So for those reasons, Judge, I'm asking the court to dismiss this case.
Your argument was with count one only in the company. I mean, I heard all your arguments, but it's really with count one and the company.
I don't want to call it the real argument,
Not
Judge.
the real argument.
This
Primary.
I think, Judge, the
Primary argument.
I would submit that the strongest argument pertains to count one, with regard to laughing.
I hear a response from you on that one. The first thing that did pop into my head when I heard it is, based off of the information that was provided through the statement of the police officer, their intent was to shoot up this vehicle, which it sounds like they did. And I do know that of these crimes on here, that assault with the intent to murder is a specific intent crime, even with the transferred intent.
Your Honor,
Okay.
as to count one, it will be at your discretion.
Yeah. All right, the court has heard the testimony, sir. If you could please stand. I heard the testimony in this particular matter today that back on the day of back on the date of March 6th, 2025, in the area 180508 in the city of Detroit, that there is alleged that you participated in a shooting of a vehicle that was at a location, and during that shooting, one of the, or several of the bullets, it sounded like did penetrate the house at that location, at that point in time and enter the location. The officers did some research, and I do know, and it's noted for the record, that there was some video that has no longer been put into place, but the officer was able to testify quite extensively today to what he did see when reviewing all of those documents, which gave the court enough at this particular time. I do think that probable cause has been established in this matter to bind you over to circuit court on counts 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11. Counts 1 and 7. I do believe that the probable cause level at this point in time has not been established. Even with the low threshold, it is a specific intent of all the crimes. Counsel did correctly state that the assault with intent to murder does have a specific intent. From what I can gather on this record today, the intent was to shoot at the vehicle. One did go into the house. There may be some more appropriate charges, but I'll leave that to a higher court. In this particular matter, and the court is going to rule that you are bind over, sir. In this particular matter, Mr. Hawkins, you're bind over to the circuit court for further proceedings on the remaining counts. So that's counts 1 through.
Judge 2.
I apologize. 2 through 6, 8 through 11. That next court date is going to be April 29th, 2025. I want to caution you not to have any contact with that street or block at all. Do not go within a mile radius of that location at all. No contact with any of the complaining witnesses in this matter, including the gentleman who was named on this record several times.
Larry Miller.
Thank you. Larry Miller, no contact with Larry Miller. It's him going the other direction at this point in time. All right, that's the order of this court. Thank you.
Your Honor, may I briefly address bond?
Sure.
Mr. Hawkins is currently in a house arrest GPS tether. He, prior to his arrest, takes his 4-year-old son to and from school, daycare. I'm asking for permission to leave the home between 7 a.m. and 9 a.m. to allow him to take his son to school.
Response from people?
Your Honor, I mean, with the testimony that we've heard on record today, the defendant, at the very least, intending to shoot up this car after getting involved with this, back and forth, whatever it may be, with this Larry Miller individual. Your Honor, I think that sets the defendant up for failure. I think that puts community in danger. I understand it's a small amount of time, which is why I'm struggling a little bit, but I think, Your Honor, that it would be potentially very dangerous to give the defendant those out hours in order to, I'll just summarize and say, Your Honor, I think it would be dangerous.
I would just note Mr. Hawkins has no record. This is his first.
I understand, but this is a leap for joy. Okay.
And Judge,
How far away is this daycare center?
It's probably about 2 miles away from the house. I just need 7:30 to 8:15. I'll be back.
and you're in Hazel Park,
Yes,
correct?
ma'am.
He's not even in Wayne Park.
Yes.
All right, here's what I'm gonna rule. You just take him to school?
Absolutely. That's all I want. That's all I need. Please and thank you. God bless you.
All right. 7 a.m. 8,
15, just because I get him there. He starts school at
15
7:45.
a.m. Stop talking.
Your Honor, if I can suggest 7:30 to 8:15, as the defendant said.
What time are you?
I usually leave about 7:30, 7:35. He starts school at 7:45.
Keeping it on tight time, but
Yes,
I don't
ma'am,
want
I
you to get in
promise you.
trouble
No,
for
absolutely
anything.
not. No,
and
ma'am. Straight there,
I
straight
will-
back.
I will tell you this, it's okay, stop talking, Mr. Hawkins. It makes me nervous that this was your thought process, allegedly. So we at the proper cause stage, but it's not, it makes me nervous that this was allegedly your thought process of how to handle it. That's why I'm making it very limited.
Yes, ma'am.
You step out of this, all right? 7:30 a.m. till 8:15 a.m.
Your
Or
Honor,
drop them off and come right back in. Yes,
I'm just gonna put my objection on.
absolutely. Go ahead.
I'm just saying I object to the change.
Okay, I know you objected in the first place, you said it.
Okay, just making sure it's on the record.
They continue to object to my allowing him to have any time. I'll give him that small, very small window. And part of my decision was based because they are right, it was a 40 caliber. I think they said they found 9mm bullets and it was a 40 caliber gun, which doesn't mean that he didn't have that. I'm just saying. All right, so at this point in time, that's the court's order, 7:30 a.m. to 8:15 a.m. to drop off child at daycare or school, whatever it may be. No weapons, no contact, no nothing. All right. That concludes the hearing.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Walter.
That's what I'm asking. You also, you can wait on the defense in this case, but and you said the initial, and the sequence.
Okay, yeah. I think that's it. And then I'll deal with that.
You'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Good afternoon.
Let's do it. We'll at least give them out of the way today.
It's usually Blair Moody.
Y'all telling me I ain't had a little red light on it? You got it on time? You got that whole last hand? Okay.
Oh,
If I can hear it. Listen, I'll go. I know, but I'm supposed to have the red lights on too. So. It's not my day. It's not my week.
yeah, what's up?
Yeah. But I always usually try to warn, attorney, with